I always loved camping, especially in the winter. There was something magical about the crisp air, the snow-covered trees, and the silence of nature. I decided to go on a solo camping trip in the mountains, away from the city and the crowds. I packed my tent, sleeping bag, food, water, flashlight, and a knife. I drove to a secluded spot near a lake and set up my camp. I enjoyed the view of the sunset and the stars, feeling peaceful and relaxed. I went to sleep in my tent, wrapped in my warm sleeping bag. I was dreaming of the next day when I would explore the trails and maybe do some fishing. I was awakened by a loud noise outside my tent. It sounded like something heavy was moving around, snapping branches and rustling leaves. I grabbed my flashlight and knife, wondering what it could be. A bear? A deer? A wolf? I hoped it was nothing dangerous and that it would go away soon. I heard a low growl, followed by a thud. Something hit my tent, making it shake. I felt a surge of fear, and I turned on my flashlight. I saw a large shadow on the tent wall, shaped like a human, but with horns and claws. It was trying to rip the tent open, tearing the fabric with its sharp nails. I screamed and stabbed the shadow with my knife. I felt it pierce the flesh, and I heard a howl of pain. The creature retreated, leaving a trail of blood behind. I quickly got out of my tent and ran to my car. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what it was. I just wanted to get away from it as fast as I could. I reached my car and fumbled with the keys. I got in and started the engine. I drove away, leaving my camp behind. I didn't stop until I reached the nearest town, where I found a motel and checked in. I was shaking and covered in sweat. I locked the door and collapsed on the bed. I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the attack in my mind. What was that thing? Where did it come from? Why did it target me? Was it still out there looking for me? I searched online for any news or reports of similar incidents, but I found nothing. I searched for any legends or myths about creatures that matched the description, but I found nothing. I searched for any rational explanation, but I found nothing. I decided to call the police and report what happened. Maybe they could investigate and find some clues. Maybe they could warn other campers and prevent another attack. Maybe they could help me and make me feel safe. I dialed the number and waited for someone to answer. I heard a voice, but it was not what I expected. It was the same low growl that I heard outside my tent. It said one word in a menacing tone. Found. I dropped the phone and looked at the door. It was open and I saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at me. It was the creature, and it had followed me. It had found me. I screamed and grabbed my knife. I was ready to fight, but I knew it was hopeless. It was stronger, faster, and smarter than me. It was the predator, and I was the prey. It was the nightmare, and I was the victim. It lunged at me, and I stabbed it in the chest. It didn't flinch. It didn't bleed. It didn't die. It smiled and it spoke. It's over. It bit my neck, and I felt a sharp pain. It was over. I woke up and I realized it was a dream. A horrible, vivid, realistic dream. I was still in my tent, in the mountains, in the winter. I was still alive, and so was the creature. It was still out there, somewhere, waiting for me. It was not over. It was just the beginning. I always loved camping in the woods with my friends. We would set up our tents, light a fire, roast marshmallows, and tell stories until late at night. It was a fun way to escape the city and enjoy nature. But this time, something was different. Something was wrong. We arrived at our usual spot, a clearing near a lake surrounded by tall pine trees. We unpacked our gear and started to set up our campsite. As we did, I noticed a strange smell in the air. It was like rotten meat mixed with something metallic. I wrinkled my nose and looked around, but I couldn't see anything that could cause it. "Hey, do you guys smell that?" I asked my friends. They paused and sniffed the air. "Yeah, what is that?" Jake said, frowning. "It's probably just some dead animal nearby." Lisa said, shrugging. "Don't worry about it." I tried to ignore it, but the smell seemed to get stronger as the sun began to set. I felt a chill run down my spine, and I had a bad feeling in my gut. We finished setting up our tents and gathered around the fire. We roasted some hot dogs and marshmallows and tried to have a good time. But the mood was tense, and no one seemed to have any stories to tell. We all felt uneasy, as if we were being watched. I looked around the darkening woods, but I couldn't see anything. The only sounds were the crackling of the fire and the occasional hoot of an owl. I wondered if we should pack up and leave, but I didn't want to ruin the trip for everyone. "Hey, I'm going to go take a leak," Jake said, getting up from his seat. "Be right back." He grabbed a flashlight and walked into the trees. We watched him go and then resumed our silent staring at the fire. A few minutes passed, and Jake didn't come back. "Where is he?" Lisa said, looking worried. "Maybe he got lost," I said, trying to sound calm. "Lost? How can he get lost? He's been here 100 times, Lisa said. "Maybe he saw something interesting and went to check it out," I said. "Like what?" Lisa said. "I don't know, a deer, a bear, a UFO, I said, jokingly. We laughed nervously, but we were both scared. "Maybe we should go look for him," I said. "Yeah, maybe," Lisa said. We got up from our seats and grabbed our flashlights. We walked into the woods, calling out Jake's name. "Jake, Jake, where are you?" we shouted. There was no answer. We walked deeper into the woods, following the faint trail that Jake had left. The smell of rotting meat grew stronger, and I felt sick. I wished we had never come here. "Jake! Jake, come on, this isn't funny!" we shouted. Still no answer. We reached a small clearing, and we stopped in our tracks. There, in the middle of the clearing, was Jake, or what was left of him. His body was torn apart, his limbs scattered around, his guts spilled out, his head missing. Blood stained the grass and the trees, and flies buzzed around the corpse. We screamed in horror and dropped our flashlights. We turned to run, but it was too late. We heard a growl behind us and felt a hot breath on our necks. We turned around and saw it. It was a creature, a monster, a nightmare. It was huge, at least 8 feet tall, with a muscular body covered in black fur. It had long claws, sharp teeth, and glowing red eyes. It looked like a wolf, but bigger and more twisted. It was the source of the smell. It was the thing that killed Jake, and it was hungry for more. It lunged at us, and we had no chance to fight back. It ripped us apart just like it did to Jake. It feasted on our flesh, and we felt every bite. It was the last thing we ever saw. It was the end of our camping trip. It was the end of our lives. We had always loved camping. It was our way of escaping from the stress and boredom of our lives. We were a group of 6 friends who had known each other since high school. We had different personalities and interests, but we shared a common bond of friendship and adventure. We had gone on many camping trips before, but this one was different. This one was special. We had heard about a lake that was supposed to be haunted by the ghost of a girl who drowned there. The legend said that she was a young bride who was killed by her jealous husband on their wedding night. He threw her into the lake, and she never came back. Her spirit was trapped in the water, and she would seek revenge on anyone who disturbed her. We didn't believe in ghosts, of course. We thought it was just a silly story made up by the locals to scare away tourists. We thought it would be fun to go there and see for ourselves. We thought it would be a great opportunity to have some fun and scare each other. We packed our bags and drove to the lake. It was a long and bumpy ride, but we didn't mind. We were excited and curious. We arrived at the lake in the afternoon, and we were amazed by its beauty. It was a large and clear lake surrounded by green hills and trees. It looked peaceful and serene. We found a spot near the shore and set up our tents. We lit a bonfire and started to relax. We roasted marshmallows and told ghost stories. We laughed and joked and teased each other. We were having a good time. Then we decided to play a prank on Raj. He was the most scared of us, and we thought it would be funny to make him think that the ghost was real. We told him to go get some more firewood from the other side of the lake, and we secretly followed him. We hid behind some bushes and waited for him to come back. When he did, we jumped out and screamed. He dropped the firewood and ran away, screaming. We chased him, laughing. We thought it was hilarious. But then we saw something that made us stop. There was a girl standing on the edge of the lake, looking at us. She was pale and wet, and she had long black hair that covered her face. She was wearing a white dress that was torn and stained with blood. She looked like the ghost. We froze, too scared to move. She pointed at us, and we heard a voice in our heads. It was her voice, but it was distorted and angry. "You shouldn't have come here. You shouldn't have disturbed me. You shouldn't have played with my death. Now you will pay for your sins." We felt a sudden pain in our chests, as if something was squeezing our hearts. We fell to the ground, gasping for air. We looked at each other, and we saw fear and regret in our eyes. We realized that we had done something terrible. We'd awakened the vengeful spirit of the lake, and she was going to kill us.